Hi everyone, Steve Petryschuk here from Auvik, and we're here today to talk about cloud-based network management. So quickly, who am I? Again, my name is Steve. I'm the technology advocate here at Auvik, meaning I get to work with folks like yourselves to help solve network monitoring and management challenges. So a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. As we all know, over the past 12 months, a little bit more than that, the world has become increasingly distributed. We sent all the workers from home. Now some are back in the office, some are remote. But ultimately, all these workers, all they're really concerned about is accessing the applications that they need to be able to perform their job function, be it in accounting, in engineering, in IT even. All we need to do is access those applications. And where those applications are is always changing, whether that's something that's in our local data center, in a cloud-based data center, or even as a SaaS application. But ultimately, to the end user, what I'm most concerned about is that connectivity into that application is always there and it's always performing properly. But underpinning all this connectivity are networks. And these networks span a bunch of different types, everything from my home network to the office network, to the coffee shop network, to the SaaS providers network. But ultimately, we need to focus our efforts on making sure that the underlying network, that whole utility that connects our end users to their applications, is up and running and performing properly. And so that's where we sort of come in. At Auvik, we help IT teams manage the network infrastructure that they control to help make sure that it is performing optimally, that it's always up to date, and it's always documented and performing well. So we're going to dive into a bit of a demo for the rest of the session here today. So as we dive into the network topology map, this is the first thing that you see when you log into Auvik. And this is a really powerful troubleshooting tool. So many IT pros that I talk to are doing manual documentation today, manual discovery of assets, manual inventory of assets, manual then drawing those topology diagrams, or maybe using some software to help with the drawing. But all that is very manual process. So here at Auvik, we automate the ability to discover a network and to document that. And it even goes beyond traditional documentation, not just showing me where every device is connected, but point-to-point physical connections. So which port is plugged into which port. And that visibility goes all the way down to the endpoint. So whether I'm troubleshooting a printer-related issue or I get a call from Joe in accounting that he's having performance problems, it's easy to track down exactly where a user is connected, what access point they're connected into, or what switch port they're plugged into. And then I can really kickstart that troubleshooting process. And so this topology map, having it live, up to date, always at my fingertips, is super valuable. Now, obviously, we don't want to be spending time managing and maintaining this type network documentation. So at Auvik, we use our on-premise collector that connects back up to into the cloud-based environment. And that on-premise collector goes out and discovers the entire network. It's going to understand every single device that's out there with an IP address, and then start to do a deep dive into all of those devices. And so as it identifies an asset, it's going to try protocols like SNMP and WMI and APIs and VMware APIs, sort of whatever is available from that device to help further classify and understand what that asset is and how it's related to other devices in the network. So as an example here on my ASA, I'm pulling down information like serial number and software versions, make and model, even device contract information. So finding out when the service contract for this it comes due, or when the software maintenance or when the hardware end of life occurs. So all these types of things are automatically gathered and automatically populated, allowing me to start making business decisions about when I should refresh hardware, when I should replace items in the network, and what items might be out of date or coming up for renewal. So all that allows me to stay on top of that contract and automates a lot of that IT asset management. Diving down post-discovery, after we've discovered all those assets, next thing we're going to go into is start to go through the performance monitoring and management phase. So here we're going to automatically track things like device bandwidth and CPU memory and storage utilization. On things like printers, you'll see things like ink levels. On hypervisors, you'll see things like total VDISC capacity. So all these monitors are automatically tuned based on the type of device that we're monitoring. So at a traditional tool, you'd have to identify the asset, identify what things you want to monitor on the NMS. But with Auvik, we automate that process, really accelerating time to value and giving you this type visibility into your network in under an hour. So if you're saying, well, Steve, showing me how busy an interface is great, but what I really want to see is, what is that traffic? What are people doing? Where are they going? Especially in that troubleshooting scenario, if someone's sort of maxing out the bandwidth and we're trying to understand, well, what application is using that bandwidth? And is it something that's business critical or not? And so we can do that through Auvik Traffic Insights. So if we dive into Traffic Insights, what we're actually looking at here is a breakdown of NetFlow data that has had machine learning applied to it to help understand what that traffic is. So although so much traffic goes over port 443 today, and it all looks to NetFlow at least like basic web traffic, we're able to dive deeper into that traffic to understand what types of applications those may be. So if I'm investigating a specific spike, or I want to look at what types of traffic happened here in the network this morning, I can quickly drill in on that specific time period and start to see all the different application categories. So as an example, there was some social media on the network today. What was that? It looks like here there was some Facebook and some LinkedIn. Is this business critical, and is this causing a performance problem? I can quickly answer that question. Or backing out, I can go and understand, well, what sorts of update traffic is happening on my network, or media streaming, right? If there's a ton of Spotify or YouTube on the network, I can start to get that visibility into what is actually happening on the network. So I can start to troubleshoot or put protections or controls in place to make sure that those unapproved applications aren't in use. And pivoting on that data quickly, I can also look at different categories of data and what geographic regions they're going to and from. So common use cases to understand if we have traffic going to maybe malicious countries or malicious sites, and we can quickly get that visibility here with Auvik Traffic Insights, really drilling down to see, what types of traffic then are going to a country. Not to pick on anyone in specific, but it looks like I've done that here. But now I can see that here it's all clear text web traffic going to India. Just one example of the ways that we can pivot on this data to help really understand the who, the what, the where, the how, and then down to the specific IP address or the specific device name, a specific user that is consuming that application. So really deep granular visibility into the who, what, the where, and a little bit even of the why sometimes of traffic. So beyond the performance monitoring and the automatic topology mapping, there's a couple other key things just to highlight here as we sort of wrap up the lightning talk and come towards the end. First is on the automated documentation side. So anytime you've had to back up a network device, you probably remember putting it into a file folder somewhere. Maybe you're saving it into your local downloads folder. But we all know it's best practice to back up that configuration before you make a change. And so here at Auvik, we automate that process. We're automatically going to back up every network device configuration on a network device. And this is true for things that we're most familiar with in text-based formats, but also true of a bunch of other vendors as well. So I won't get into a list of all the different makes and models that are supported, but basically here, we're able to back up the network device configuration of pretty well any router, switch, firewall, access point that's out there. And now I can come in and do comparisons of previous versions. So if you're troubleshooting one of those situations where they sort of said, hey, it used to work today, but it doesn't work anymore, or we're trying to figure out, well, what changed? We can easily come in here and start to navigate through the configuration to really see what's changed during that period of time. No more guessing, no more going line by line. We've done all that work for you. So you automatically back that up. You can see the configuration changes quickly. And now when I need to restore a previous configuration, I can export that directly from this dashboard and re-import into the device, or depending on device type, restore it directly from the device or from this device dashboard here and get that configuration back up and running. Finally, if I need to jump in and make changes, or I need to edit things on this device as well, I can do that directly from this dashboard. So whether I'm on the beach, I'm traveling remotely, or I'm in the office, it doesn't really matter. I get that same experience where I can automatically log into the device from the centralized dashboard without having to use a jump server or jump through any other hoops. It's just going to automatically proxy my credentials onto that device and log me in where I have a live command prompt and I'm able to start to make changes. So really easy to use, really quick time to value here, and it sort of centralized everything within that dashboard. Finally, no network management solution would be complete without alerting. So this is something that we have pre-built in Auvik. So we're able to automatically out of the box within that first hour start to notify you on things like internet connection being lost, spanning tree changes, configuration changes, and all of these are automatically built out of the box. But you can also come in and tune and edit them as well. So if there's something specific that you want to monitor, we can build that in. If there's something that you just want to edit some of the thresholds, absolutely possible. But it really helps you get off the ground a lot quicker. So with that, coming towards the end of the time here, so I just want to wrap up with one quick last slide. And so we'll just jump into it. Obviously, what we showed today was just scratching the surface. Definitely want to encourage everyone to take a free trial of Auvik. So you do have a 14-day free trial. If you go to auvik.com/PagerDuty, you can get signed up and get those free 14 days and watch it discover your network.